let's talk about something that happens to so many of us as we get older. It's not this big dramatic crisis. It's more of a quiet, creeping feeling, a sense of disconnection that a lot of people feel but almost nobody talks about. It's this deep shift in how we belong, how we connect with the world, and how we see ourselves in places we've known for years. It's a journey, really. A journey from trying to find our place in the crowd to finding a place that actually resonates with who we are now. We're calling this sovereign alignment. And today, we're going to unpack what that really means, why it's happening, and how to embrace it. This quote, wow, it just nails a feeling that is so unsettling. It's not about being lonely in the classic sense. It's the weird paradox of being surrounded by faces you know in a place you've been to 100 times and still feeling completely disconnected, almost like a ghost, just watching a scene that you're not really a part of anymore. If you've ever felt that, I want you to know you are not alone. And more importantly, this isn't just a bad mood or a sign that something's wrong with you. It is a documented phenomenon, a signal that something really profound is shifting inside of you. So let's put a name to this, give it some context, because what you're feeling, it's not a personal failure. It's not that you've suddenly become antisocial or you've lost it. It's actually a predictable stage of life. Psychologists and sociologists talk about crossing this invisible threshold, a huge transition into a new way of being in the world. And it's all driven by some pretty big changes happening in your brain. So let's take a look at what's really going on. This is the big question, isn't it? It is so easy to see that impulse to pull back and think, oh no, I'm becoming a hermit. But what if we reframe that completely? What if that feeling isn't a retreat at all, but a sign of a really sophisticated process going on inside? What if your brain is intentionally performing what you could call a strategic identity audit? You know, like a company that's been in business for decades finally stops and reviews everything it owns. Your brain is sorting through a lifetime of relationships, roles, and social duties, and it's asking a really tough but necessary question. What here still has real value? What actually aligns with who I am today? You know, sociologists have a really powerful term for this, the Relevance-Anchor Disconnect. Let's just unpack that. For most of our lives, our social identity is anchored to things that make us feel relevant, right? Our job title, our role as a parent, our spot on the community board. These are our relevance anchors, and they fuel this drive for what we call status seeking, that need to be seen and valued for what we do. But after 60, the brain's circuitry starts this incredible shift. It just stops getting the same energy from those old anchors. It moves away from status and starts searching for something way deeper, resonant belonging. It's a fundamental shift from what do I do to who am I with? The old roles just don't provide that same psychological fuel anymore. So let's be really clear about this. This feeling of not belonging, it isn't about loss. It is about growth. You haven't been kicked out of the room. You have simply expanded beyond what that room can hold. The container that used to fit your identity just fine is now too small for the person you've become. And this isn't just some nice thought to make you feel better. It is a powerful sign of maturation, not decline. You are evolving. Okay, so let's get into the science of why this happens. Because this isn't just a philosophical idea, it is biological, rooted right there in our neurobiology. Your brain is literally rewiring itself. And understanding this is so empowering because it confirms that your brain is doing exactly what it's supposed to be doing at this stage of life. It's not breaking, it's upgrading its entire operating system for how it connects with others. It's optimizing for what truly matters. There's a key scientific idea that explains this perfectly. It's called Socioemotional Selectivity Theory. It sounds complex, I know, but the idea is actually super simple. Basically, our social goals are driven by how much time we feel we have left, our time horizon. When we're young, that horizon feels endless. So the brain's main goal is information acquisition. It's like being a collector. We gather contacts, experiences, friends, hoping some of it will be useful down the road. But as our time horizon naturally shortens, the brain's priorities do a 180. It stops collecting and starts curating. It ruthlessly prioritizes deep emotional meaning. It's a biological pivot from the quantity of our connections to the quality of them. And this theory, it perfectly explains why so many modern social events, parties, big gatherings, feel so exhausting. They're built for what's called high-velocity exchange. Loud music, quick little conversations, people everywhere. For the mature brain, which is now wired for depth, this just creates what researchers call auditory task saturation. It's just cognitive overload. And this is so important. You are not failing to keep up. You are simply tuned to a different, deeper frequency. The unspoken social contract of your youth, where you put up with all that noise for the chance of a connection, that contract has expired. Your brain isn't willing to make that trade anymore. And this leads to another common feeling, status invisibility. In a world that so often values what you do over who you are, losing that professional title can make you feel, well, unseen. But again, let's reframe this. The friction you're feeling is your crystallized wisdom pushing back. That's the term for the lifetime of knowledge and insight you've built up. And that wisdom, it is instinctually searching for a master-level room, a place where depth is the main currency, not a place where you have to shout over the noise of ambition. It's looking for peers.
All right, this brings us to the core lesson of this entire explainer. How do we go from feeling out of place to feeling empowered? Well, the answer is in this fundamental mindset shift, a deliberate move from a life of social obligation to one of sovereignty. It's about taking active, conscious, and totally unapologetic control over your social world, maybe for the very first time.
This chart just lays out the whole transformation perfectly. On one side, you've got participatory obligation. This is the mode most of us have been in for decades. The goal is simple, fitting in. The focus is on quantity. How many friends? How many invites? And the feeling? It's often social friction. Our role feels like we're a displaced member, just trying to find a spot. But now look at the other side, sovereign alignment. Here, the goal isn't fitting in. It's finding authentic resonance. The focus shifts from quantity to emotional meaning. The feeling isn't friction anymore. It's like being in a curated sanctuary. And your role? It transforms from a displaced member into the sovereign lead of the circle. This changes everything. That feeling of not fitting in is no longer a failure. It's a precision compass, pointing you toward what really matters. This might be the most freeing idea we talk about today. For so long, we're taught that if we don't fit in, the problem is us. We need to change or try harder. This quote just flips that whole script. If the room no longer fits you, the room is too small. It's not small because you've shrunk. It's small because you've grown. Just let that sink in for a second. How many rooms have you been trying to squeeze yourself into? This idea gives you permission to just stop. It gives you permission to find or even create rooms that are actually worthy of the person you've become. Okay, so how do we actually do this? We've talked about the why, so let's get to the how. We're going to walk through a really practical framework called the Alignment Audit Protocol. And these aren't just little social tips. Think of them as powerful tools to protect your energy and build a social life that genuinely fits who you are right now. These 4 steps are your new identity defense system. Seriously, they're designed to be a filter, protecting you from shallow connections and making sure your social life is a source of energy, not a drain. We'll talk about how to check for that feeling of resonance, how to shift your focus to quality, how to choose your surroundings wisely, and finally, the most powerful step of all, creating your own spaces. Let's break them down. So here's how you use the protocol. First up, the 15-minute resonance check. The next time you walk into any social space, set a mental timer for 15 minutes. When it goes off, just check in with your body. Do you feel open, energized, like you can breathe easily, or do you feel tight, constricted, like your shoulders are creeping up toward your ears? If you feel that friction, give yourself sovereign permission to leave. This is how you break the obligation loop. Next, the depth over breadth shift. It's time to trade those big, noisy mixers for what we call microcircles. That means prioritizing real conversations with just 1, 2, maybe 3 other people. That's where true connection happens. Third, the environmental standard. Become picky about your surroundings. Actively look for places with low background noise and seats that actually face each other. The environment is never neutral. It either helps you connect or it drains you. And finally, the wisdom-led inquiry. This is a promise to yourself. You consciously choose to only invest your precious time in groups where your life experience, your wisdom, is actually valued, not just politely tolerated. And this brings us to the ultimate expression of this new power, the sovereign invite. Instead of waiting for invitations to rooms that don't really fit anymore, you create your own. This is when you decide to host your own value-led circle, a small get-together, maybe for a book discussion or just a deep conversation. You control the space, you curate the guest list, you set the tone. This isn't about being exclusive, it's about being intentional. It is the highest form of social sovereignty. It shifts you from being a guest in someone else's world to being the host of your own. So let's bring this all together with a final, really crucial thought. It is so important to remember this. The social friction you're feeling is not a sign of weakness. It's not a bug, it's a feature. It is a sign of advanced human maturation. It just means you've outgrown the need for performing and for surface-level connections. This is who you are now. You are a master of resonance.
You have spent 60 plus years listening, observing, and fine-tuning your internal bullshit detector. Through thousands of interactions, you have learned which frequencies are true and which are just noise. Your desire for depth isn't some new fussiness. It's the result of a lifetime of social learning. You're not becoming more difficult, you're becoming more discerning. And you know what? The science completely backs this up. This isn't just a nice idea, it's a proven strategy for a good life. Study after study shows that selectively social seniors, the ones who choose a few deep connections over a ton of shallow ones, are the happiest, the healthiest, and the most cognitively sharp. Your brain knows exactly what it needs to thrive, so trust that desire for depth. It's the wisest part of you speaking.
Okay, we have explored the feeling, the science behind it, and the tools to navigate it. Now it's time to put it into action. This last part isn't a test. Think of it as a gentle challenge, an invitation to start leading your sovereign life, starting right now. If you remember only one thing from our time together, I hope it's this. Belonging is not a place you go to find. It is a frequency you tune into. If you're not on the same wavelength as the people in the room, you aren't really in that room, no matter where your body happens to be. And the most empowering truth of all is that you are the one holding the dial. You are the manager of your own community experience. So here is your challenge for the next 24 hours. It's simple, but it can be incredibly powerful. I want you to think of just one social group, one meeting, one reoccurring event where you consistently feel drained or out of place. Just one. And then give yourself sovereign permission to stop going. You don't need a big excuse. Your internal compass is reason enough. Freeing up that time and energy is the first real step toward building a social life that truly fits you.
Just remember, that feeling of being out of place is a sign of your brain's incredibly high standards, not some kind of social failure. And the easiest way to start honoring that is with that 15-minute resonance check we talked about. Belonging really is a frequency, and you control the dial. So I'll leave you with this. Audit the resonance, anchor the alignment, and lead your life with the sovereignty you have absolutely earned.